I'm working way too hard.
All right, we are going live at the moment, so we'll be live here in just a few seconds.
You sure you paid your bills? The
Yeah,
electricity's on,
yeah,
Ken?
sorry, the electric company and the internet turned off, so I need to pay my bill so we can live stream. But we are live, I do believe.
Yeah, we're live.
Welcome
Welcome
in.
everybody to episode 32 of Pick Our Brains. I am Kent, he is Max, and we have a special guest actually on the YouTube. Art's on the bottom, I'm up here, Max is over there. All right, Max, what are we talking about today?
Well, we have a special guest.
I know we do. You want to
Something I've
introduce
been
him?
trying to do for a little while. I just got done with a whatnot show. Um, our special guest, I know him as Art Turner. You know him as Art Turner. Other people may know him as Rare Books USA. That is his new name. And he has been a paper golder. Art, what would you say? For just about a year now, you've been a paper golder?
Coming up on a year in the summer.
Coming up on me. I'm not getting you an anniversary gift, so don't think you're getting a free book from me or anything. Um, and I wanted to invite you in because you were in the chat last week and you had me thinking for about 48 hours on some little bit of a conversation we dug into. And once I started thinking about having you on, I also thought it would be a great idea for you to talk about your journey and what it's like to be a newer book reseller in the vastness of the book selling world. I know you're doing eBay. I know you're doing whatnot. I know you're doing Etsy, but you're so much more than that. And I think before we begin digging into what it's like to be you, why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
All right. Well, thank you for having me on, Max, Kent, Pick Our Brains. I'm a regular of the show. I love it. I've learned a lot, and I know a lot of everybody else has gotten value. So a little bit about myself and my selling journey. I started selling on eBay July last year, so I'm coming up on my year
Oh, you are.
of selling, and it's been a journey. I didn't sell my first book for the first, I think, 2.5, 3 weeks. But it was a progressive thing. I just, kept the nose to the grindstone. And now I'm gonna do, this is gonna be my best month I've ever had. I'm probably gonna do about 2,500 in sales this month, if not more. And how I found Max in the paper gold community, I saw one of his older eBay YouTube videos with a lady. She's from Australia. That was like one of the very first videos I've seen from you. And I've always had a passion for books. I've always had a passion for business, but I never really put two and two together. And when I found Max and when I found the Paper Gold community, I then realized that, okay, there's already a lot of people that are making a comfortable living off selling used books. But there's also like different levels of it. There's some people that just want to keep it part-time. There's some people that are full-time but don't want to scale it up. But there's also people that have wanted to scale it up and almost, scale it out in a way where, they're still doing a lot of book things, but they're doing, softwares, programs, and bigger business things where I do hope to see myself later down the road. So it's been a great journey being a part of Paper Gold. And, I'm just here to have my own insights and provide value and help where I can.
I know Ken's going to want to jump in once I start getting in this with you, but let me ask you this because this is interesting to me. The vision you had of what used book business was before you started doing it, and now how has that original vision changed to what the reality is? Because the one thing Kent always teases me, because I always say the books are everywhere, and he always teases me about that. So
Mhm.
what is it? What was the vision like initially before you even sold your first book?
Mhm.
Now what it is for you?
Yeah. So the vision was, I'm a documentary filmmaker as well. I'm really creative. So it's kind of like in the collecting community, if for like books or whatever, it's almost like the starving artist mentality. You're like, oh, you're not, these are so precious. You're not supposed to make money off it. You're not supposed to make a living off it. It's supposed to stay in its place where, you're just supposed to cherish it and not, pervert it
Mhm.
monetarily per se.
Sure.
And so I've always collected, and what's funny is I would drive to different bookstores for my own collection, but I would try to find books at a lower price than what I could find online. So even before I was sourcing for my own inventory on eBay, I was sourcing for my own collections. Like, am I getting it at a
Mhm.
basement price, but it was the value higher? But I didn't really put two and two together until, much like yourself, where I just didn't want to work a regular 9 to 5 job anymore. I'm like, well, I know these books are valuable, and I'm now seeing people able to sell these books and people are buying the prices. Well, let me just make the transition over. And when I had the mentality of where I can still have that collector's twinkle in my eye for certain categories, but I can still make money at the same time.
Right.
So that's what I'm
That, that
trying to, tell people, like, look, you could still have the things you love, but you can still make money at the same time.
that is a great insight. Whether you're sourcing as a reseller and you need to buy it at a price that you can make money,
Mhm.
but then also as a collector, I've had a bookstore now for 3 years, and I try to price my stuff competitively with anything online. And most booksellers don't do that. They kind of price it somewhere in the middle. And I think that my average customer coming into my bookstore is looking at a book and they're like, "Oh man, that book is really cool. I want to buy it." And say I have it priced at $50. Well, if they can find an equally nice copy at 35 online, they're probably just going to buy it online to save that 15 bucks. And I think that's where some bookstore owners go wrong, is they don't think they have to be competitive online.
Right.
But now it's so simple for people, if they find a book at a bookstore, to go on Amazon and be like, "Well, I can have it to my house in a day or two and save 10 bucks. Why wouldn't I do that?" Max, you're gonna love. We have some new people in the chat. We have Rich, Cowboy Rich is in the chat. He says, Howdy, boys. Congrats, Art." And I think this is a new person in the chat. We have Wendy's Wandering Books and More. I don't think I've ever seen her in the
That's
chat.
Wendy's Books and More.
Wendy's
That's a
Books and
new
More in the
paper.
chat. Welcome, Wendy.
That's new. Yeah,
I'm
good for
glad you can
Wendy.
find us. You can hear us chit-chatting on Whatnot all day,
Yeah.
but you can finally see us over here.
Shout out PA, Wendy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Art, is it completely different than what you thought it was going to be? Is it harder? Is it, I mean, give me the positives and the negatives of what it is. Now you're a year in now. You
Yeah.
know what it is. You've heard the stories. You've seen yourself and others make great sales. You've seen down periods, but what is it? What are the positives and the negatives now?
Mhm. Well, one of the bigger positives, and this is for anybody, is to sell used books. It's a very low barrier to entry. It doesn't take a whole lot of capital. Doesn't really take a whole lot of effort. If you know certain things, you can, buy a book for 50 cents or $1, and you can sell it for 50 to 100.
Right.
You just have to have a little bit of research and know what you're looking for. So anybody can do it. Now, I will say, if you want to be serious about it, there is a competitive aspect within the business world, right? And I think there, with online, with AI, and people not really want to work in big box companies anymore, there's a lot more talented, competitive people coming in the used book space.
Mhm.
And so that does pose some challenges for some of the older guard people who don't really want to change with the times, and they're putting themselves on the back burner. Like, Max, you're always getting collections of, older people that just don't want to, mess with the game anymore and such. And so that's a big thing. I think people are really going to have to internalize, is how much do you really want to do this? Because if you're staying stagnant, you're staying behind. Like, you're always going to have to continue to push to even maintain. So I think in the next couple of years, you'll see who's really, about this book selling life, and who is not. But you I think just the biggest positive is, like, anybody can do it. Something that I think people need to work on is operationally. There's a lot of I think I believe people are missing. They're not really focusing on efficiency that much. They're not really looking at what's the value of each task they're doing. A lot of business owners, they like doing a specific task, but is it actually a net positive to your business? Just because you like doing it, that doesn't mean you should be doing it if you want to succeed.
Mhm.
Those are some things I'm seeing. The downside is, I guess it really depends on how you want to play the game. So a downside for me is, I like to cherry pick and I like to have certain collections, but I just don't see myself wanting to just get a bunch of books, and having to sift through them for a lot of different duds and stuff. You know, that doesn't really get me up in the morning. I like having books that are already in good condition that I know I can sell. I don't want to waste time just going through duds and stuff. But there is a downside to that. I haven't had that big whale of a book yet where it's just like, oh man, this was just in a big pile, but it's $1,000 book. I've had $100 sales, a couple $100 sales, but when we're in the Discord and you're seeing some of these things, oh, I just found it in a big lot of things. That's what's missing, I guess, within my business. So it's kind of just something I'm working on where I'm going to have to get across that hump.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Kent may have something to add to this, but I think that for you to find that $500,000, $3,000 book, you are gonna have to make that move to buying through collections, and then having to sift and weed and discard. It's hard to cherry pick $1,000 book. Most people who have it know what it is already. Not that it can't happen. I mean, you can go to a flea market and you can find it in a box of books. But when you buy those large collections, I think Kent would agree that's where you're more apt to find that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I dig through and buy and sell thousands of books a year, and I maybe, if I'm lucky, can get $2,000 or $3,000 plus books. It is really tough. I know people can score and they can find it at the bins or at a garage sale for 50 cents, but it is really tough. It's mostly buying books for $1 and flipping them for 20 or 25. And I will say, back on the topic of AI, that Art Turner really is focused on how to do things efficiently. And so do you use AI to write your descriptions, and then also do you use it to price your books as well?
Mhm. Yeah, so I use it for everything. So pricing is a different art form. Like I use AI to get a baseline, like an anchor of what it believes the price is, and then I'll do a little research myself. Sometimes if it's within the ballpark, I might add $10, subtract $10. I don't spend too much time pricing books if it's already within the ballpark because I'm always running sales here and there, and I believe the market is always going to find the right value of the price. So, like for example, I had this 5-string banjo book I got, and I listed it for $100 because there was other listings for $100 on eBay.
Mhm.
But those are all the listings that never were sold. And so I got an offer for it for $20, right? And I bought it for like $1.50. I eventually took it because when I actually looked at the solds going back 3 years, it always sold for around $20 regardless. So the buyer already kind of knew what the price was,
Right.
even though there was $500 ones.
Yep. And AI can go through all of the data and the historical data through the whole darn internet a lot faster and more efficiently than we can do by checking WorthPoint, checking eBay research for the last 3 years of comps, checking Amazon and see what's listed. But then also you have to factor in stuff like condition and stuff. And that's where your instincts after selling hundreds of books, you just get the instinct that like, hey, maybe they're listed for 50 to 100, but maybe those prices are a little aggressive. And maybe I need to be in the $30 range or something.
In regards to the descriptions, what I believe, at least on eBay, descriptions like they do play a role, but they're not like the biggest role. Like you have to have good pictures, you have to actually have a good product. There's good books that sell every day with slim item specifics. They just might have a title, they just might have a year, but if it's a good book, it's going to sell regardless. So I think a lot of people bog themselves down when it gets to listing because they feel like they have to be very particular
Right.
when it comes to the descriptions and condition. I just put it in Chat GPT. I take my 5 photos for a normal book, put it in Chat GPT. It does a nice description. It does a good condition description, gives me all the item specifics because how I take the photos. So I do front cover, back cover. I do the diagonal one that I got from you and Max. I actually like that one a lot. I do the copyright page, and I just do like a page in the middle just to show that it's clean, right? just 5 straight things like that. That's enough information for the AI to work. And it's been, very helpful. I have 2,200 items listed right now, and
Wow, that's
um,
great.
over 1,000 I listed this year alone off using AI.
Yep, we'll have to catch up on the chats a little bit later, but
Yeah, we have 19 people in here right now, Ken.
I know. M. Donnelly, special guest. They love the special guest, and art's awesome. M. Donnelly said, when you say AI, what do you mean? Is that Chat GPT or other program? Which you already answered that. And then someone else also asked about cross-listing programs, which you have a little bit of experience with. So if you want to talk about cross-posting and where all you're posting your books, that would be good as well.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not actually cross-listing, and I'm against it for my Etsy store. So there's a lot of people in the paper gold community that cross-list their eBay, Amazon, and Etsy. And I've been doing a lot more research on Etsy just as a specific platform because, in my opinion, it's a good place to sell books, but the sale comes from a different angle. It comes from a different consumer base. And I found this guy off YouTube called the Etsy Consultant. He's like Max, but for Etsy. And he's really good. He doesn't like ads. He keeps it simple. It's amazing. And so he really is focused on if you want to get sales on Etsy, you have to allow Etsy to get all the information from the platform to work and to get the SEO correct. And so there are people in the paper gold community that have made a lot of sales on Etsy, but it's more or less off the volume of what they have listed via their cross listing. It's not necessarily specific. So I'm taking the longer route. I'm doing art books, craft books, catalogs, sign books. So it's a little bit more niche where, I might not have a lot of sales coming in the short term, but when I get the brand up, I think in the long term, it's going to be a lot better.
Yeah, and people on Etsy, they love the more vintagey stuff. And again, certain categories that appeal to certain people, that it makes sense. So now, are you manually doing all the listings yourself, or are you using a VA?
No, I don't have a VA. And I don't think I'm at a point yet for a VA for the listings. It's when you have AI, it just makes it a lot cheaper. You just let the AI do the work for you. All you do is copy and paste. If I'm doing postcards, I can get 30 postcards up in 30 minutes because I'm only putting a light description, very good condition, a couple of things, and I just copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. Same thing for books, they're a little bit more intensive. But I'm not spending too much brain power on the parts of the business that don't matter. I get buyers all the time that don't read the condition description or the description at all. And I'll get a message back say, hey, there's something wrong with this book. But then I let them know, it's like, hey, it was already in acceptable condition. I told you what it was. So, once the buyer doesn't pay that much attention, you don't put as much effort into it.
Yeah,
at least
yeah, absolutely. And same with Max. He has the same philosophy as far as description is if you just put up enough photos that they can see the covers and a few inside pages to know, hey, it's not stained, it's not ripped or anything like that, that's enough. As long as the buyer is hopefully looking at all the pictures. All right, we got to say hi to St. Louis Bookkeeper in the chat. He says, big dog art. And we have McMarcy in the chat as well. She says,
wait, is this a Zoom call? Are we on a Zoom? Are we on a?
I know we have all the regulars. Very cool. We have 20 people watching. I think this is one of our biggest episodes ever. Thank you, Art. We appreciate that.
You know what though? Since Art is coming up on a year, there are some questions that I know that other new sellers would like to hear him answer, or sellers or future prospective people who would like to sell books. So Art, I'm going to ask you a couple questions. Just give me sort of quick answers on this, because I know that when I was learning this business, there was nobody out there to ask. You had to learn trial by fire. And now we have the beauty of social media and people can ask you questions. So one, as a new full-time seller, and you are full-time, although I don't believe in how many listings per day, I believe in how much value you put up per day. So answer either one of those questions. How many listings do you do per day, or how much value do you do per day?
I'm working on the value portion. I'll probably do 15 to 20 listings per day on average.
Beautiful.
Working on the value portion. and it's just philosophy based. Sometimes I list cheaper items because they're easier to get out and I use it as marketing. And then I come on the back end with bigger items later that people want to buy. So,
And I do know because I follow you on Instagram, you are selling books every day. You are selling everything from art catalogs to sports programs to five-string banjo books. I mean, you are one thing that I'm so proud of, and I think Kent shares the same with me is you really understand the nichier, the better. You understand those are going to always be good books.
Thank you. And I will say, we talked about it before because Max, you gave me some of those foreign language books that when we talk about nichier, the better, they do really well on eBay. You don't even have to like translate it. Like you might want to translate it yourself on like Google Lens, but say if it's something restricted that you don't want necessarily eBay to know what it is, their AI can't read foreign language. So the buyer who knows what it is and they know what they want, they'll buy it regardless. I've sold a lot of Middle Eastern books. I don't know what they say, but they're
That's
buying
all.
them.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome to hear because I know that was just a box of books I couldn't do anything with. I had no time, and I'm glad you're being able to get them out to the people who want them. All right, my next quick question for you is where are you sourcing from? So where if someone's new and they're not doing well sourcing, where do you source from? I know you're in Utah, so you could be geographic specific if you want, but please talk about all the places you source from.
It helps to be in like a book town. Salt Lake City, you know, it has the University of Utah and a couple other colleges. And, you know, there's a lot of book readers out here. So there's no shortage of things to rummage through. We have Deseret Industries, which is the LDS run thrift store network. There's like 10 different thrift stores out here. There's Savers. We have Goodwill bins. Well, we just have one Goodwill bin. I've been
That's
sourcing.
all you need, though. That's
Yeah,
all you
that's all you
need.
need.
That's all you
Yeah.
need.
I've been sourcing from eBay. I've been taking a note off of Kent's book for the eBay. Obviously, I'm sourcing on Whatnot, buying a lot from Max's show. And I don't think there's really a best place to get anything. I think you have to have a mix of it all. You know, when I need cheaper books, if I'm spending too much on Whatnot, I need to go to the thrift stores. I need to go to the bins to lower my cost per average. If I want better conditioned books, you know, more brand name books that I know will sell regardless of the cost price, Whatnot, eBay. So it's good to have a blend.
All right. That's great answers, man. Great. I'm impressed. Are you getting any backroom access yet? Because that's one of the things we keep thriving on in the Paper Gold Zoom calls is garnering that backroom access. Where are you with that in your year-long business so far?
Unfortunately, I have not put much effort into it. I know that's something I need to work on. And there was a queue. So I was going to estate sale this last weekend, and I should have said something. I know I'm kind of mad at myself. I didn't even get a business card or exchange business cards. So, you know, you go to estate sales and we already know the books are something that they want to get rid of. And it's something they don't want to deal with. And one of the workers said, "Oh, well, thank you for taking all these books. Make sure to take some more." I think that should have been an opportunity where I could have gotten some more backroom access. I didn't do it. So I'm disappointed in myself as well.
Max would have definitely yelled at you for that one.
I know.
Yeah, you might get a yelling on Thursday night in front of everybody on that. I might have to share that. That's not good because, you know, for me, and I know for Kent, and for several people in the chat, that backroom access, that literally pays the bills every year for us. And once you start garnering a few of those, and you get those, you know, I got a phone call today from one of those clean out companies. And so I have an appointment to go pick up books for free from a clean out company tomorrow. You know, this is the hustle that pays the bills. And I need you to start jumping on that because you're smart enough. You have an education enough in books already that you know what the good books are. I would just like to see you get out of that cherry picking mentality and start buying greater volume of books so you can come across those $300,000-$500,000 books. I mean, there are so many people in Paper Gold right now who in the Discord have sold $500,000, $3,000 books that it is literally jaw dropping to me sometimes to review it.
Cool.
Yeah, I meant to give you a shout out, Art, if you wanted to say what your eBay and YouTube channels were or anything like that.
Okay. Yeah, Rare Books USA on everything. eBay, YouTube, Etsy. I'm keeping
He's
the brand.
branding. He's branding. He's branding.
Yeah, that's great. I wish I would have been smarter and had everything with the same name. I messed up.
Now, I do want to go reverse to forward again. There's one thing about Art we did not mention. He kind of mentioned it. He is a documentary filmmaker. Art, can you, even though this kills me to have to voice this to you, can you please talk about the documentary film that I watched about that football team that you tend to like that I'm not a big fan of? I want you to have a little bit of a shout out because you are a many faceted creative individual, and I want everyone to know you're just not selling books.
Thank you. So yeah, documentary filmmaker. So and after the Eagles won the first Super Bowl, we won a Super Bowl last year too. We're two-timers.
Okay, Art, we on last. Okay.
Yeah, so in 2018, after the first one, I traveled to every away game that the Philadelphia Eagles had. So, that took me to New Orleans twice. That took me to London, New York, everywhere. And I went to all the tailgates. I interviewed the fans of each fan base at the tailgates, got the culture of cities, trying different food and stuff. And in 2020, as I was trying to get it submitted in Sundance, I didn't get in, but I got in touch with somebody in LA who sells films that got it distributed. So the film's called The Endless Season. You can find it on like iTunes. You might be able to find it on Amazon Prime sometimes. It comes in and out, Comcast and such. So if you want it, I can also send you the link as well. Just reach out to me. I can send you the free link. So
aren't there clips on YouTube?
Yes. So I do have clips on YouTube, just not like the full thing. Right. So if you want to go city by city, I do have that. But since I'm under contract for, another 10 years, I can't just put it out.
But we don't have a lot of Eagle fans here. They don't care about it.
Send them a message on Instagram if you want to see that. So one of the things I wanted to say is that so right now you just had your best month at $2,500. If you extrapolate that out for the next year, you're talking 25,000. But then I assume you're going to continue to grow month after month, and especially in the fall and holiday season coming up, that number is going to jump. And before you know it, 2026, you could end up selling $50 or $60 or $70,000 as long as you continue sourcing good stuff and listing consistently. I think that number is great to the point where in the next few years you're going to be making an amazing living selling books. And it is a slow. I started in college, so I sold 4 years while I was in college. And then before you know it, when I graduated, I was making enough money to pay the bills. I still wasn't making an amazing living. But it is just a slow build. And before you know it, you're making an awesome living.
Right. But once you do crack that $50,000 number, it does get a lot easier. The mountain is getting to 50,000. So Ken, I'm going to say this to Art, that I think by the end of 2026, he does have a shot to hit that six-digit number. As long as with the numbers he's putting up, 20 items a day now, as long as he continues to do that and keeps doing Etsy and eBay and whatnot with those three platforms, and maybe he adds another platform like Amazon down the line, but with those three platforms, there's no reason by the end of 2026 that he can't be a six-figure seller.
Yeah, yep, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm trying to get like y'all.
Well, just keep in mind, I don't know if you signed the contract. Kent, did you send him the contract where we get 10% of his lifetime sales?
No, I didn't send them that yet. No.
Now we're going to teach you some business.
Paper golden shackles.
Yeah, exactly. So our Turner did have a few questions for us relating back to the last show, which is the reason he's here. So if you want to ask a couple of those, Art.
Yeah. So last week we touched on burnout. There's a lot of people successful in the paper gold community, but come success, there's a lot of change, and sometimes you feel a little bit under the weather just working. But I wanted you guys to elaborate on your guys' daily schedule. what are some of the things that you must do every day, like non-negotiable?
Mm.
And what are some things that you're flexible? If I don't get to it that one day, it's okay.
I'm going to let you begin, Kent, because we probably do things very similar, but I think there's a few important things that we do differently. So I'll let you start.
Yeah, so right away, I start in the morning. I get up, I do my shipping. That can take anywhere from half an hour to an hour, sometimes more, sometimes less. So I do my shipping, go for a walk or run, take a break, eat breakfast, and then I do my listings. So I do it a little bit differently than some people. I take pictures of 30 books, then I type up descriptions of 30 books, then I list the 30 books. Some people do it book by book. They're going to take the pictures, list it right away while they have it. I just find it a little bit more efficient to do all the photos, all the descriptions, all the listings. Um, then I
You
have a
also
little
have
bit
a
of,
bookstore you're running, Kent.
yes, I also have a bookstore, so that is interspersed in between. Usually my listings can take anywhere 3, 4, 5 hours a day, sometimes more. And then at from 6 to 6:30, I have my auctions ending on eBay, so I'm sending invoices and doing shipping. As people pay throughout the night, I'll ship a little while I'm sending invoices, and then when the auctions are done, people pay. I do some shipping, um, and then just start the whole thing over the next day. Pretty simple. I do the exact same order of things almost every day. I started doing whatnot, so that's kind of interspersed a little bit. But I will say one of the things about my business is if I'm not at my store to ship stuff and to do the listings for the day, and listings aren't ending, if like Tuesday nights I don't have eBay listings ending, but I'm doing a whatnot show. Next Tuesday I'm thinking about taking the day off, so I'm not going to have any income next Tuesday, except for people that bought something a few days earlier and are finally paying. So if I'm not here, my business model is kind of probably a little stupid, not having many buy it nows or any Amazon money coming in, because if I'm not here running things, I have no income for the day.
Right. But also you have developed a system that is very habitual. So as long as you stay on the 30 bit auctions a day, as long as you
Yep.
do what requires that part of the business, you're also guaranteed you could sell 30 items within a 1 hour span once your auctions end, because 30 auctions end every day. So you're also, not only are you listing 30, you're also shipping 30 probably the next day.
Yeah.
And so you've built in this sort of water wheel that just keeps spinning as the river brings the water, down. So it's pretty amazing what you do along with the bookstore. Now you are definitely getting into whatnot more and more. And I think that's probably going to grow and change what you do in the very near future. I think you'd probably agree to that. But Art, if you're
And
asking about, yeah, if you're asking
I
about
just
habits, Kent definitely has locked down on things he does schedule
Yep,
wise.
I've been doing auctions 6 days a week for over 10 years consistently. Take off a couple short little periods here and there, but consistently
Mhm.
I'm auctioning off 750 books a month for the last 10 years. And I love auctions just because it's guaranteed income. Now you do need to work on building a little audience for the auctions, but once you do, it's guaranteed income. I absolutely love it. Max, what is your Max's schedule is I think a little wonky.
Yeah,
You
I'm
mix
very
things up a
wonky.
little.
I'm very wonky. But let me first say this. Number one, I do have someone who does all of my shipping. So once my business started to take flight and I was shipping 30, 40, 50 items a day, it didn't make, and I want to explain it. It just didn't make any sense for me to do the shipping. The shipping would take me 2 to 3 hours. I would rather, as a bookseller, I would rather spend 2 to 3 hours pricing books, because in 2 to 3 hours, I can price 60, 70, maybe 100 books. And so that 2 to 3 hours, it's important for me to price the books and have my shipper ship. I also don't do any listings. Most of my listings are done by my one full-time employee. So most of my time is purely spent, like I did today, pricing and researching books. And so I like to acquire large volumes of books. I'm not much of a cherry picker unless I go to the flea market. I'll cherry pick there, but I do like to acquire large collections. Um, Not the kind of collections where there's going to be a lot of duds. I'm not buying a random Gaylord of books. I'm buying someone's lifelong collection. Um, and so I like building up my inventory to that. Right now, my inventory is about 17,000, nearly 18,000. Um, but that being said, the things that I have to do every day, I have to go to the post office every day. I I always price at least 50 books a day. My no holds change is 50 books a day have to be priced. Even if they're not getting listed in the next day or two, I'm still going to price 50 the next day. Today I priced over 250 books already. I spent 5 hours at my desk pricing. And so the more that I price, the more that I could get listed and the more that eventually sells, whether that's on eBay or whatnot, or Amazon. Those are my three major platforms. Um, you know, I do think though, and Kent is a definition of this, the more consistent you are, the more money you're going to make. The biggest hurdle for most resellers, especially new resellers, is challenging themselves mentally to be consistent. You get bored, even though you got cool books in front of you, you get bored sitting in your desk, you're clicking on YouTube, you're clicking through Instagram, it's taking you away from the work. But if you can just learn to battle and get over the hump of being inconsistent and turn that into a habitual habit of consistency, that is the game changer for me. I don't get bored. To me, all of this I do is like being in a sandbox and 5 years old with a Tonka truck.
I definitely get bored, but I think one of the things that most online sellers struggle with is listing just isn't fun. Taking pictures of random books isn't necessarily fun. It's fun when they sell and you can ship them and get them out of there, but it's just not a fun job. So, what is your schedule like? Are you listing certain days? Are you listing every day? Are you shipping right away in the mornings or waiting till later? Or what is your book selling schedule look like?
And yeah, and see, that's why I wanted to ask you guys, because that's actually kind of at the crossroads where I'm at. It's not that, I work hard. I always put the work in, but I want to make sure I'm putting the time in efficiently, and I'm trying to figure out how to cut down on the lull periods where I'm trying to find something to do. Like, and that's tiring itself, where, it's like, well, I just listed. What else should I be doing for my business right now? That's what I'm trying to figure out for my schedule.
That's the backroom access, though. Once you start garnering backroom access, there is no lull periods. Because you get to go to the back room of a thrift store or go to the estate sale house before they actually have the sale. And when you acquire, the only reason you have lulls is because you're cherry picking. Once you start buying more volume, there are no more lulls.
Yeah, I know, but that creates the other thing of, okay, now I need to figure out how to dispose of these books and storing books and having, it's definitely not fun. My back room is full of books that I've had for years. And I'm like, well, it's too good to just throw away or donate, but it's not exciting to list. It's somewhere in between. So, I don't know. That creates a whole nother issue of buying collections or doing clear outs. But I did want to say that it's not too late to get in contact with that estate sale that you were at recently and just say, hey, I bought a bunch of books at your last sale. I sell books. Like, feel free to reach out if and when you get more books, and I'd gladly buy a truckload or cherry pick before or something like that.
Yeah, I have to reach back out to them. So I try to get up in the morning and I'll list. So what I'll do is I'll get up, I'll take photos, and I'll list. I try to do about, 15 to 20, whether it be books or postcards. Just depends on how I feel. Like if I'm not, if I need, obviously I need to list things every day, but if I'm not feeling up to really grinding on the listing, I'll do postcards. I can get 20, 30 postcards up really easy. And then I'll go on the next task. So first couple hours of the day, I'll do photos, list. Then the next half, I like to go sourcing. So kind of early afternoon to middle afternoon, I'll go to the different thrift stores, see what's out there. I get back home, and so that's the first half of the day. Like, I'm pretty productive first half of the day. Then the second half of the day is like, okay, what should I really do? Because at the end of the day, I like to do the shipping. When the day's done, all the orders are in for the day. I can finally sit down and see what I can do. So I don't do shipping till like 8, 9 o'clock at night. So that kind of leaves that the 3 to 7 period of it's up in the air. I do other stuff, like videos and stuff, but that's not every day. So that's what I'm focusing on. It's like that 3 to 7 p.m. where I'm trying to figure out what I need to do.
Yeah, and listing is just a grind. It's not fun. There's no way to make it fun. It sucks. It's a chore. But you just do have to force yourself to do some every single day.
Right. And Art, one thing that I would say is if you don't like listing, then you should be driven to get to the point where maybe you could hire a lister as part-time, but you have to really climb that mountain to get to that point. I mean, this is something that Kent and I talk about all the time. I'm always after Kent to hire someone to help him list. And he always refutes me, but I don't stop chipping away at him. I just know this, that I wouldn't be able to grow to the numbers I have grown without having someone getting listings up for me while I do something else for the business. I don't have an employee to make my life easier so I can go in the pool every day. I haven't really left my desk all day today. I mean, just my daily grind is I get up in the morning, I walk the dog, then, I'm going over to Faith Farm where I do consulting work. And my first 2 hours of the day is doing consulting work for Faith Farm. I don't get home to about 11 o'clock, but once I start at 11 o'clock, it's all, I'm all in the trenches, getting the work done.
So that brings up another question I had. We talked about it on Tuesday's call, but I wanted to bring up to you guys because you brought it up, Max. Is there a point where in your business, like you're growing, you're scaling, should you kind of be forward thinking and get the lister or shipper before you really need it? Or should you, wait until you absolutely need it?
No, that's a great question. I think you can win either way. I think if you get the lister ahead of time before you're sort of ready, you're gonna make less money because now you have payroll. But the flip side of that for me is at least more listings are now going up. So what is the larger vision? Is the vision to have a store of 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 books? If that's the vision you have, then yes, you hire a lister, because for you to get there doing 20 a day, if you list 20 a day, but you sell 10 a day, your inventory is only increasing 10 a day. That you're only increasing 70 books a day. For you to get to 10,000 books, it's going to be such a long grind. So you need that lister to get you to that number you want to have.
Yeah, I would say do the shipping yourself. But if you could have a lister, if you're doing 10 or 15 or 20 listings and your lister is also doing 15 or 20 listings a day, it's going to be a great investment. All you have to do is sell one of those books to pay for the labor for your lister, hopefully. So that could be a great investment.
Yeah. That's the key word too, Ken. Investment. That's the key word.
We do need to read all the chats. There's a million chats. I did want to say Junkman said that Max is in the hot tub right now. That is a green screen. All right. Art, do you want to ask one more question, and then one of us can read? There's a million chats. I don't know if we can get through all the chats today. There's a lot of them.
I have one more question. You guys can get into the questions in the chat. There's people talking. So what is something, a task, a product that you wish you had more time to focus on that you just don't have time or resources right now?
A task or a project? Yeah, I just think for me, I think Ken agrees here. It's just time. Kent and I run out of time every day.
I will say I was pushing my YouTube channel pretty hard, but it's been quite a while since I've made like any kind of unboxing video or showing people some of the cool books in the back. So I would like to spend more time for that because it is free promotion. Plenty of my YouTube followers will go check out my eBay sale, and especially I should really be doing it to promote my Whatnot show, showing off, hey, I'm gonna have these 50 books for my next Whatnot show, because guaranteed I could wrangle up a few customers. And Art, you do the social media. I assume some of your Instagram followers hopefully are following you and go buy something. If you could post, hey, I just got in all these sports catalogs, and hopefully the people could go check out your eBay listings based off of that.
It's long-term game, social media, but it pays off. You just got to keep digging the ditches. It works.
It's incredibly slow. I've been posting every day on Instagram for like the last 6 years. So all
You
right,
have to keep in mind too that the book community is never going to be viral. It's not a viral community.
Junkman in the chat. Great. The task that we wish we had more free time to do, dating. I will say I have I have a non-existent social life, so that allows me to work really hard at my book business. Max is a little more social. Should we read some chats? Max, do you want to read some chats?
Yeah,
or
I do also want to say this. I also want to say this because I never really talk about this when you and I do this, Ken. If anyone is interested in the Paper Gold group, just send me a message or get a hold of Kent or I, and we can show you how to get into that group. It's 130 plus members strong right now. It's an amazing book networking group. And we have meetings several days a week, and the Discord goes 7 days a week. There's no shortage of conversations going on ever.
Do you have your yellow paper handy?
I don't.
Okay, well,
if you saw my table right now, it is.
Okay, find him Common Ground Finds on eBay, Whatnot, and Instagram. He's Common Ground Finds _ Paper Gold Podcast on YouTube.
Jeez, I need to pay this man.
Any other? Oh, and then also just search Patreon, Paper Gold, and that's where you'll find the Paper Gold Patreon group.
Right, so you want me to read questions? I don't know where we are.
Just start at the top. There was a lot. We only read like 3 of them, so let's just wrangle them off.
I mean, Art's getting a lot of praise. We're not getting a lot of questions.
Here. Okay.
Marcy has one.
Yeah. Oh, question for Ken. Do you get negative feedback? Like my book has arrived with too much snow. Well, let's erase snow with negative feedback, which is a great topic. We probably can't hit this for as long as we need. Yeah. But yeah, we all get negative feedback.
We are 50 minutes in. We're definitely gonna have Art Turner back in a couple months to do another show with him. This was a great one.
You'll have to sign that contract first, though.
Yeah. But yes, we all deal with negative feedback. Art, have you had any negative feedback yet on your eBay?
One. It's the one scar I have. It was $130 book. It was in my collection for about 6 months. I read it. It was some old author before he got famous, and he did publishing, like how to write a book that gets published. And so I knew it. So I sent it out. The guy gets it. A couple minutes later, he opens up the pack. He says, everything looks great. It looks fine, but there's one thing. The smell is like really bad. It's just egregious. I got to take it to a person to see if they can get the smell out. He told me he was going to get back to me the next day. After he waits like a week, he says, well, I finally got it to the guy. He said it's going to be like $100 to get the smell out. I personally didn't believe him. It was in my collection. He just wanted a discount, I think. So he gave me a negative review.
You definitely, we all, if you sell any amount of stuff on eBay, you're going to have to deal with negative feedback. People used to be very proud of 100% positive feedback, but that's really unrealistic right now. There's some people that will just ask for a partial refund to try to scam you. And you just kind of got to eat their negative feedbacks.
I don't think, though, that you have to be hurt and let it weigh you down. We all have negative feedback. Ken has it. I have it. The more you sell, you're just apt to run into some really jerky buyers. And sadly, Kent and I have talked about this before. Most of the time, it's for the $20 and less books. It's not for the $130 books. Most of my negative feedback is for a $14 or $15 book.
Yep. Well, I'll just say hi to Junkman, and Phil H is in the chat as well. A lot of great comments. We really appreciate y'all. I'm sure we've all been looking at the comments and reading them all along the way, and we really appreciate everyone. we're coming up on an hour. Any last thoughts?
No, very exciting to have Art in here, learn about that year-long journey. I didn't realize it was July, makes up a year. I'm very interested to see what the end of 2025 and all of 2026 holds for him. I hope that he hears what I'm saying about six figures is in your future as long as you stay consistent. I love the point that you talked asking about hiring a lister. Kent made some great points about that. Um, I think sometimes we all get too comfortable in our comfort level, and I find that I have to get a little uncomfortable to make my business grow. And so I think even at your stage, don't get comfortable cherry picking. Don't get comfortable doing 20 listings a day. Uh, if you feel like you want to keep growing, and I know you do, then hire somebody. The worst thing you can do is let them know ahead of time this is a 60-day experiment. And after the end of 60 days, we're gonna talk about where we are with the business and if this is working. But I think you should do it because your listings will go up.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you for having me on. And just a testimonial to this group, Kent and Max, Paper Gold. If you're not a part of the group, make sure you're a part of it. And if you're one of those people that kind of go in and out of the group, stop. This is like so valuable. You want to stay in. You want to get the value daily. We're always having conversations daily. It's iron sharpen iron. I'm getting smarter. A lot of these people in the community are well read. So it was a great community for me to find. And, Max's goal for Paper Gold is to get people to full-time work if they so choose. I've done that. Like, I'm paying my insurance, I'm paying my bills off selling used books online. And, yeah, there's risks involved, and I don't have kids or anything like that, but it's possible. These two people, I look up to them a lot. They've given us the path to succeed. And if you just take the leap, if you're not in the community yet, we're all, great people, and we all can make money together.
Which we do.
Yeah, it really is a unique group. I don't think there's anything quite like the Paper Gold group, for sure.
Some try to replicate, but not like it.
All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Amazing show. Thank you, Art, for joining us.
Thank you.
We'll see you next